Hello everyone, Zakiziel here, and tonight I'll be reacting to 5-ish Minute Lore Episode 14, Rylanor by Old Man Reacts. As always, I highly recommend that you check out his content over on his channel, and a link to the original video will be in the description box below. And Rylanor actually happens to be another one of the things I don't know very much about, or if I have heard about it, it's not something that I remember off the top of my head. But without further ado, let us begin.
The views expressed in 5-ish Minute Lore, the lore delivered in rants, are sanctioned by their scholar Progenium as excess rageous. Prolonged exposure can result in loss of IQ, high blood pressure, random outbursts, and blunt force trauma to the skull, resulting in unconsciousness. Please consult your local physician for more information.
The Ancient of Rites of the Emperor's Children, Rylanor. The absolute madman who slept with a virus bomb for 10,000 years just to be able to give his Primarch the middle finger.
Oh, it's this guy. I actually saw the Adeptus Ridiculous episode about him.
You brilliant bastard.
If you've ever held a grudge against someone for a long period of time, today's topic of conversation could very well be your spirit animal. You may have been pissed off for a few days, maybe a month to even a decade. Rylanor was pissed right the fuck off for 10,000 years. Rylanor was an OG Emperor's Children legionnaire, and he was an absolute turbo Chad. He was one of the few who actually fought beside the Emperor during the Unification Wars on Terra, back when the Emperor's Children were simply called the Third and were given the honors Roma and Thule to etch into his own personal armor. He didn't join the Third, he was the Third, one of the founding members. He was the first to be the standard bearer to the Palatine Aquila that only the Emperor's Children could carry into battle. At some point after Fulgrim joined the Legion, the Emperor's Children were fighting some Eldar, and upon seeing Rylanor's jawline and cheekbones, the Nightfears raged bitterly and did everything in their power to kill him out of sheer jealousy. Even though they ruined his good looks, his life was saved when he was interred in a Contemptor pattern dreadnought.
You know, given what I've been hearing about the Eldar and how far up their own asses they are, yeah, that sounds about right for what they do, to be honest.
At that point, there was much mourning over the loss of his jawline to the Legion's profile art, but they made up with it for sheer badass firepower. Eventually, Chad Rylanor was made the Ancient of Rites and carried out the rites of induction for the Third, all the while murdering anyone who didn't like the Emperor. This all started to go south when he wasn't invited to an orgy. A snake orgy, to be more precise, in a temple dedicated to Slaanesh. His Primarch came back with a sword inhabited by a greater demon, a lot of the Third came back addicted to coke and whores, and a lot of the humans that visited came back acting like they had just dropped 4 gallons of acid and then snorted a line of crushed Viagra. In other words, he didn't like what he saw. Things just kept getting weirder aboard the flagship, and the Giga Chad Rylanor was getting more and more fed up. Then one day when he was issuing out battle assignments to a place called Isstvan 3, he noticed one of the...
Oh no. Wasn't Isstvan 4 where the Drop Site Massacre occurred?
Those prissy bitches in the leadership structure and the biggest blowhard in the entire Legionis Astartes, Eidolon, had opted not to drop in the spearhead. This made the Dreadnought's eyebrows raise because Eidolon sought more attention than an ugly stripper. It was at this point that Saul Tarvis came up and asked GigaChad 9000 Rylanor if he could just stay on board the ship and be Eidolon's right-hand man, using some old tradition as an excuse. Now Rylanor knew something wasn't right, and knew Saul Tarvis was lying to him about wanting to be Eidolon's anything, but he made the arrangement so Saul Tarvis would not go to Isstvan 3, just because he had an idea something was absolutely wrong. So now, just so we get this storyline straight, Saul Tarvis is the guy that eventually found the virus bombs, and then ran and told Nathaniel Garrow, who then ran from the Isstvan system and told Rogel Dorn, who then went home and told everyone.
Yeah, wasn't Nathaniel Garrow, if I remember correctly, was he the one that was a loyalist Iron Warrior, I think, was it? I'm a loyalist Marine from one of the Traitor Legions, who went back to warn of the betrayal and the Isstvan massacre. And wait, wasn't he also the one who spoke to Dorn, said that Horus turned traitor, and Dorn threatened to kill him for saying something so ridiculous? Oh boy.
That's right, Rylanor is such a Chad, he's the entire reason this timeline exists. Ultra Giga Chad 9000 Rylanor was on Isstvan 3 when the virus bombs fell, and he was presumed dead, until he showed up and started killing traitors. Then he was presumed dead again, until he showed up and started killing more traitors. Then he was dead again, more dead traitors, kinda like Caiaphas Cain, only he actually went out to kill things instead of just mistakenly winding up doing it. Rylanor being declared dead and coming back to kill more traitors was becoming a recurring theme until Angron was finally brought under control and Horus had had enough of losing troops in a needless battle. Horus recalled all the troops off of Isstvan 3 and ordered a mass bombardment of the surface. The only
That art, I really like how cool he looks in that art piece. Also, I think the Contemptor Dreadnought actually looks better in that art piece than a lot of others where I see Contemptors, because is it just me, or do a lot of art pieces that have that type of Dreadnought, they look kind of squashed closer to how regular Dreadnoughts are, with the extreme top heaviness?
one that knew that Rylanor was still alive was Lucius, and considering Lucius is about as reliable as a sprained ankle, nobody went to investigate, even though Lucius the Eternal always claimed that Rylanor had found and was guarding something. In truth, Super Ultra Giga Chad 9000 Rylanor was pissed off beyond all recognition at having been betrayed and at what his legion had become, and he blamed one person and one person alone, Fulgrim. Some people write angry poetry, some people write angry blog posts, some people make very angry 5-minute lore videos. Super Saiyan Ultra Giga Chad 9000 Rylanor went so above and beyond the call it was stunning. He MacGyvered loads of noise marine sonic weapons as well as other war gear and manipulated over 10,000 years into a fucking interstellar beacon, and he only had one mechanical hand with fingers the size of telephone poles. He then activated it and attracted Magnus's attention, who sent some thousand suns to investigate, who after 10,000 years had no idea they were going to the
What's the first song you'd play on this? Oh boy. Oh wait, isn't that from String Storm? That cover?
Site of the first major betrayal of the Horus Heresy. When the 3,000 suns got near Super Saiyan Ultra Giga Chad Kaioken times 9,000 Rylanor, the pure hatred he radiated blew up one of their hearts. Let me say that again. The sheer presence of that much hatred blew up the hearts of one of the 1,000 suns. They found the Ancient of Rites half buried under rubble, one leg destroyed and his side so dented they simply assumed the Astartes that was inside had to be dead. The Dreadnought was laid next to a random assemblage of parts that was half insanity and half musical instrument. Before it could be unplugged, they discovered that love is a battlefield, but hatred is eternal. The dead Dreadnought snatched one of them up, pointed a cannon the size of a battle tank at another, and basically told them not to fuck with his music. They talked the Ancient of Rites down from murdering them, and then one of them figured out who he was and where they were. They asked if the device he had made was a distress beacon, but no, it was no beacon. Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Ultra Giga Chad Kaioken times 9,000 Rylanor don't need no damn beacon. It was bait. Wonderful bait. Masterful bait. And Fulgrim fell for it, coming to see the Master Baiter himself. That was the 41st millennium, and it's been a long time since Fulgrim was a respectable member of society. When he came to see who had baited him so masterfully, Fulgrim looked like what a back-alley porn shop feels like. Filthy, disgusted, and loaded with shame. Fulgrim showed up in all of his whatever and started instantly talking shit, detailing how the Ancient looked and laughing at all the time Rylanor had waited and wasted and how much glory he had missed out on, and pretty much begged the Ancient Dreadnought to tell Fulgrim what the Ancient had been waiting to tell him for 10,000 years. But Ultimate Baconator Edition Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan Ultra Giga Chad Kaioken times 9,000 Rylanor wiped a smile right off of Fulgrim's face by simply moving to the side, revealing an undetonated virus bomb. A virus bomb that had fallen on Isstvan 3. The next few moments went something like this.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh yeah!
The 1,000 Suns instantly did everything they could to contain the explosion and were actually holding it back. And as Fulgrim saw they were keeping him from melting, he instantly went back to shit-talking mode. Fulgrim crushed the Ancient's assault cannon before he could fire it, and then ripped the arm off and tossed it to the side. Fulgrim was already planning on forcing Rylanor back to his side, willing or not. Rylanor tried to fight back, not caring if he lived or died, only caring that he take this mutated bastard with him. But at that point, the result of the fight between the two was a foregone conclusion. Fulgrim started to reach inside the cracks in the Dreadnought armor. Rylanor continued to fight, swinging his fist up, hitting Fulgrim on the shoulder, but it wasn't even making the Primarch flinch. That's when Fulgrim told Rylanor that he would be sculpted into something beautiful. What Rylanor said next, I'm not going to abbreviate, I'm not going to exaggerate. This is the words that came out of the grill of the Dreadnought. Never! All we have left between us is we will die together! I am Rylanor of the Emperor's Children, Ancient of Rights, venerable to the Palatine host, and proud servant of the Emperor of Mankind, beloved by all. I reject you now and always! Fulgrim only laughed at Rylanor, telling Rylanor that it really wasn't his choice. Fulgrim then yanked Rylanor's body out of the sarcophagus that provided with life, even though the liquids inside were complete poison to the Astartes, and the Thousand Sons wondered at how Rylanor had survived at all. Fulgrim then pulled Rylanor's body towards him, holding him in his arms like some sort of perverse baby. And at that point, Fulgrim told Rylanor that he would remake him, and he would be Fulgrim's crowning achievement. He had forgotten something, though. Fulgrim had forgotten the Thousand Sons. As much as they were in shock at how much of a shit Fulgrim actually was, 2 out of the 3 of them were in flat-out awe of the Ancient. Compared to Super Size Ultimate Baconator Edition Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan Ultra Giga Chad Kaioken times 9000 Rylanor, Fulgrim was completely unworthy. One of the Thousand Sons, Vistorio, then did to Fulgrim what Sigismund did to Abaddon.
Primarch Fulgrim, Rylanor deserves better than you. He deserves better than all of us.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine. And you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Oh yeah, that reminds me. Didn't Fulgrim also go into real space like 1 or 2 times and basically got slapped back into the warp and has been hiding out in there for a while until recently? I heard he came back finally.
Dario then shot the Thousand Son that was leading the efforts to contain the virus bomb's explosion, and he unleashed hell. At the end of the day, the Life Eater virus couldn't kill Fulgrim, nor could the explosion, but Vistaria holds a special place in my heart forevermore. When Fulgrim slowly began to reform, he was nothing more than a broken piece of shit. Screwed up mentally beyond all reason, his ego absolutely destroyed in a final act of patience and hatred so profound, it was literally insane. But while Vistario holds a special place in my heart, nothing compares to the one, the only, Ancient of Rights, the unyielding, the one who remembers, Rylanor, because he is that fucking great.
That was a fun watch, and honestly, it's quite sad what happened to Rylanor in the sense that, you know, Fulgrim hauling him out of the sarcophagus so easily, which is understandable considering it Demon Primarch. But in a way, at least full like. Even though Rylanor didn't exactly get to take Fulgrim with him, at least Fulgrim didn't get to have his way. Also, I can't believe you've actually watched an entire thing about Rylanor somewhere else and then basically forgot like 3/4 of it. But it happens. Regardless, this is a fun watch, and if you enjoyed watching with me, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to check out Old Man React channel. Now, I'll be signing off, and I wish you all a good night. Bye.